Chris Thomas from the Knoxville News Sentinel here. Week 3 of the high school football season. Here are 5 games to watch this week. I start in Region 2 5A, where Halls will travel over to West in a game that I think will determine the Region 2 5A champion. Halls coming off an emotional win over Austin East, where Caden Harbin was so good both on defense and offense. Second consecutive week that the Red Devils had to rally to a win. Then I look at West. Zach Harshey, Drake Peer. Both of those players have started a game for the Rebels this week. Who do they go with? Who's the guy moving forward for the Rebels? That's what we have not yet found out. Drake Peer started against Sevier County in a blowout win. Does he start against a Halls team that is much improved after making the playoffs for the first time since 2007 last year? Then I move over to Region 3 5A, where Farragut and Oak Ridge are going to meet again. Oak Ridge 2-8 in the past 10 games against Farragut, but they're 2-2 in the past 4. Remember this game last year. Oak Ridge was ranked number 1 in the state when Farragut came and upset them en route to a Region 3 5A championship. Does that play a factor? A little extra motivation for Oak Ridge. Farragut did not look good in a win over Gibbs in week 2. Then I look over in Class 6A, 2 games that stand out in Region 1. Bearden and Hardin Valley going to square off in a game that I think could have some implications as to who hosts a playoff game when we get to November. Remember, everybody in Class 6A advances to the postseason, but only the top 4 in Region 1 are assured a home playoff game when we get there. Hardin Valley has looked good in spurts. Gavin Green is still getting back to his old self after suffering a brutal suffering a brutal injury last preseason. Tim Frizzle, I think, is one of the most undervalued backs in the area. There are a few players who are as athletic as him. Bearden, though, has looked very good in the early going. Hasn't been tested to this point, though, with wins against Carnes and then a win against Powell. Both of those were blowouts. I think Hardin Valley is going to play the Bulldogs a little closer on Friday night. Then I look at Maryville, going to travel over to Jefferson County. Remember, a lot of underlying storylines in this game. Spencer Riley, a first-year head coach at Jefferson County, he's got the Patriots off to a 2-0 start. Then I look at Maryville. George Quarles, of course, graduated from Jefferson County. That's his alma mater. And I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of parallels this week in terms of Riley mimicking or hoping to mimic in his coaching career what Quarles has done. Then you look at Quarles' coaching staff. You've got Kenny Cobble, who was the head coach of Jefferson County for the past 5 seasons. So a lot of underlying storylines there. Both of these teams 2-0. Obviously, Maryville coming off a big win over Fulton last Saturday. And then I've got one more game, and moving over to Class 4A, Catholic going over to Central. Remember this game last year? Central won this in a pretty decisive victory. Catholic a little beat up coming into it. This is a game that really put Central on the map in 2015, and this is what has maybe started some of the expectations coming into this year for the Bobcats. Now, Catholic looked very good in a blowout win over Christ Presbyterian Academy over in Nashville on Friday. That game was over by halftime. They barely played into the third quarter before weather ended it prematurely. Catholic gets credit for the win. They come in with a lot of momentum. I can guarantee you they're going to be talking about that game last year, which frankly Central dominated from a defensive perspective. That was really one of the low points of Catholic's 2-4 start. They continued to get better after that, of course, eventually winning a Class 4A state championship.